igniting curiosity across depots, command centers, and beyond. Welcome to your weekly Depot AI Brief, where emerging AI meets mission-ready insights. This is Episode 18, Revolutionizing Depot Operations with AI. Today we're breaking down exactly how these AI updates impact our four core roles, from the shop floor to the executive suite, and we'll wrap up with key highlights and insights on the commercial tools flashing on our industry radar.
Yeah, and that really is the mission for today's deep dive, because we have a massive stack of source material to get through. I mean, we're talking everything from the Army's latest readiness programs to, the 2026 commercial guide to AI predictive maintenance.
Right.
But we aren't just like reading headlines here. We need to translate all this research into actual actionable intel for you. So we're looking at the underlying mechanisms of how this tech shifts the day-to-day reality for, well, every single person keeping these facilities running.
Exactly. And before we get into the weeds, let's just establish our security baseline really quick.
Yeah.
Because we know data integrity is, well, it's the backbone of the military supply chain.
Oh, absolutely.
So everything we discussed today regarding your daily workflow is mapped directly to the DoD's authorized IL5 environment. And that stands for Impact Level 5, which is the secure, ring-fenced digital zone approved for handling CUI or controlled unclassified information.
Yeah, that's a crucial point.
Right. And specifically, we're filtering these operational updates through our authorized Big Four tools, which are GenAI.mil, Ask Sage, Army Vantage, and Copilot.
Right, so let's start right where the metal meets the meat, the shop floor.
Let's do it.
When you look at the recent documentation regarding our mechanics, so the Artisan's actually doing the hands-on work, the absolute focus is on precision diagnostics and safety.
Okay.
And the biggest standout here is that 2026 commercial guide to AI predictive maintenance we mentioned. It's detailing tactics that can actually reduce equipment downtime by up to 50%.
50%. I mean, think about the scale of that for a second. If you apply that to a massive facility like Corpus Christi Army Depot, or CCAT as we call it, you are fundamentally altering the physics of how that facility outputs repaired aircraft.
Oh, without a doubt.
But how is it actually achieving that number?
Yeah.
Because honestly, it sounds a little bit like magic.
Right, it does, but it's not magic at all. It's really just incredibly dense telemetry.
Yeah.
Historically, a mechanic's job has been, well, largely reactive. A part fails, the line halts, you troubleshoot, you fix it.
Yeah, break-fix model.
Exactly. But predictive AI flips that entirely. It ingests massive historical data sets. We're talking millions of hours of fault codes, microvibration data from internal sensors, even acoustic signatures from the engines themselves.
Wow, acoustic signatures.
Yeah, and it maps the current state of a machine against a baseline, identifying these microscopic deviations that precede a failure. So the AI isn't just guessing, it's calculating that, say, a specific hydraulic pump bearing is going to fail in exactly 3 operating hours based on like a fractional change in its vibration frequency.
So you pull the pump during scheduled downtime instead of having it just blow apart mid-test. But there's another layer in our sources that really caught my eye, and it applies this exact same predictive logic to the human element. There's this new initiative called Force Health Protection and Resilience, and it's heavily leveraging AI.
Yes, the AI-enabled predictive analytics for that. The mechanics of this are just fascinating. We are talking about utilizing computer vision and ergonomic modeling to prevent musculoskeletal injuries.
Which is huge for the artisans.
Massive. Instead of waiting for a mechanic to just blow out their shoulder, these systems analyze the kinetic chain of the human body. So by evaluating repetitive motion data or the specific angle and torque a mechanic uses to lift a legacy component.
The AI can flag they're at risk, right?
Right. It can flag that this individual is at, say, a 90% risk for a rotator cuff tear if they don't adjust their posture immediately.
We are finally treating depot equipment and the mechanics themselves, like elite athletes, using predictive analytics to prevent the injury before a breakdown ever happens.
That's the perfect analogy.
Like, if a major league pitcher's arm angle drops by 2 degrees, the analytics team knows he's fatigued and about to tear a ligament, so they pull him. Now we have that same level of biometric protection for the folks at CCAD, keeping Army aviation in the air.
Precisely. But here's the hurdle with all this. The commercial guides detailing these breakthroughs are fantastic, but you cannot just plug an off-the-shelf civilian AI directly into a classified weapons system, or a secure military network for that matter.
Right, which brings us to the actual interface. Like, if I'm a mechanic on the floor, how am I getting this data without violating a dozen security protocols?
And this is where our authorized IL5 environment becomes critical, specifically GenAI.mil. Think of GenAI.mil as your highly secure internal large language model, or LLM. It operates entirely within the DoD's walled garden.
Okay.
So let's say a mechanic is dealing with an obscure fault code on a legacy airframe. Instead of thumbing through physical books or trying to control-F their way through a massive unsearchable PDF to find a highly specific torque value.
Which we all know is a nightmare.
Total nightmare. They simply query GenAI.mil.
Because the LLM has already ingested all those thousands of pages of technical manuals. It understands the context of what you're asking.
Exactly.
You just type in the fault code, and the model instantly synthesizes the exact repair procedure, the required tools, and the safety warnings. It takes a 3-hour research task and turns it into a 3-second query.
Right. It empowers the mechanic with immediate, actionable knowledge right at the bay. But, that brings us to a massive logistical bottleneck.
Go!
Because a mechanic knowing a part is about to break and having the exact manual to fix it, well, that's completely useless if the replacement part is sitting in a warehouse 3 states away.
Right. You can't predict when to turn the wrench without the folks crunching the data behind the scenes. You can't turn a wrench on a part that isn't there.
Exactly.
Which means we need to look at the people crunching the number.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the data analysts and the supply chain logisticians.
Yeah, the analyst's role is undergoing a massive evolution right now. Our intelligence shows the Marine Corps is actively prototyping new AI tools specifically designed for aviation supply and predictive maintenance.
Interesting.
What they're fundamentally doing is building a bridge between the predictive maintenance schedules we just talked about and raw warehouse inventory data to forecast fleet readiness.
So they are linking the when will it break telemetry directly to the where is the spare part database.
Yes. And the Army is building the human infrastructure to actually support this. The sources detail a new specialized AI and machine learning career path being established.
To build an operational performance workforce, right?
Exactly. The military recognizes that to run massive modernization initiatives like Next Generation Command and Control, or NGC2, they need personnel who deeply understand both the nuances of military logistics and advanced data science.
Because the whole point of NGC2 is leveraging that data for sustainment management. Break down the siloed databases, basically.
Right. Unified sustainment forecasting.
Let me stop you there, though, because I want to challenge how this actually works in practice. For analysts used to drowning in spreadsheets, how does this actually replace the dreaded infinite Excel scroll?
That's the million-dollar question.
Like, for an analyst working at Aviation and Missile Command, or AMCOM, they spend 8 hours doing complex VLO ups across databases that refuse to talk to each other, and then their computer crashes. Is this just another clunky dashboard?
It's not. It replaces the manual labor entirely if you use the right authorized tool. For analysts dealing with these sprawling supply chain queries, Ask Sage and Army Vantage are the absolute game changers in the IL5 environment.
Okay, break that down for me.
Ask Sage utilizes natural language processing. It takes conversational English and acts as a translation layer.
What is it translating exactly?
It's translating your plain English question into complex SQL database queries behind the scenes. So an analyst doesn't need to write code or cross-reference 12 different spreadsheet tabs anymore. Yeah. They can simply type, show me all aviation components with a lead time greater than 30 days that are required for scheduled maintenance at AMCOM next month. And Ask Sage instantly connects the dots across those isolated inventory tables, pulls the data, and delivers the answer.
That's incredible. And then Army Vantage takes that raw data and visualizes it, right?
Right.
It generates the dashboard dynamically based on the query.
Exactly. It turns days of spreadsheet work into a simple query and a clear visual metric. You want your human analyst doing high-level cognitive work, identifying supply chain vulnerabilities, not acting as human calculators.
Right. Okay, so Ask Sage gets the analyst the right parts, and GenAI Mill gives the mechanic the manual. But once the analysts have the data, it's up to the team leads to actually manage the workflow and the people executing it.
This is a critical piece of the puzzle because the supervisor's world is governed by constraint optimization, balancing rostering, training, and reducing the administrative red tape.
Yeah, the paperwork.
Exactly. And there is a landmark piece of news on this front. The U.S. Department of Labor just launched a massive initiative to inject AI skills funding into registered apprenticeships nationwide.
That is a massive shift. That means the pipeline of new talent coming into the organic industrial base, or OIB, is going to have baseline AI literacy baked into their training from day one.
It's a fundamental upgrade to workforce development, but integrating all this new talent requires massive coordination. If we look at the Marine Corps workflow scheduling improvements, the focus isn't just on supply anymore. It's about allocating human resources efficiently.
The supervisor acts like an orchestra conductor. AI is the sheet music that keeps everyone on tempo, so team leads can focus on mentoring rather than pushing paperwork.
That is a perfect way to look at it, and the way a supervisor achieves this in the secure environment is by using Copilot.
Okay, how so?
Copilot integrates directly into the daily administrative workflow of the Microsoft suite. A supervisor can utilize Copilot to instantly draft complex training schedules that accommodate shift rotations, leave balances, and mandatory certification renewals.
Which, let's be honest, is a mathematical nightmare for a human to do manually.
Oh, totally.
You have 5 mechanics, 2 are on leave, 1 needs a certification renewal by Friday, and you have 3 urgent apprenticeships to integrate without leaving the shop floor empty. Instead of staring at a whiteboard for 4 hours, you just feed those constraints into Copilot.
And Copilot solves the constraint optimization problem instantly. It looks at the certification tags, the priority maintenance tasks for the week, and outputs a schedule that maximizes operational readiness.
Completely removing the administrative bottleneck.
Exactly. So when those newly funded AI-literate apprentices hit the OIB floor, the supervisor actually has the bandwidth to mentor them.
Okay, so you optimize the floor, the supply chain, and the scheduling. Let's take this from the shop floor all the way up to the boardroom, where commanders are steering the entire depot strategy.
Right. At the executive level, the focus shifts entirely to high-level strategy, ROI, compliance, and managing the vendor ecosystem. The major strategic news in our brief today is that the DoD and the Pentagon are significantly expanding their classified AI work.
With the big tech players?
Yeah. They've established agreements with 8 major companies, including tech giants like Google and OpenAI, to accelerate AI implementation for classified operations.
Hold on, I really want to push back on this a bit. Does partnering with all these major players at once create chaos? Or is this like diversifying a financial portfolio so we aren't locked into a single tech monopoly?
It is absolutely about reducing vendor lock-in risk. By standardizing the application programming interfaces, the APIs, the DoD forces these different vendors to play nice in the sandbox.
Because if you build your entire military data architecture on one company's proprietary format, they essentially own you.
Exactly. A multi-vendor ecosystem forces competition and resilience. If one vendor's model underperforms on a logistics task, the military can instantly swap it out for a competing model without rebuilding the entire system.
But tracking the performance of 8 different vendors has to be incredibly complex. For the commander tracking this ROI, how do they ensure all these specialized AI initiatives align with overall troop preparedness?
Through Army Vantage. For the executive, Vantage serves as the ultimate high-level dashboard. It aggregates the macro-level data generated by all these disparate AI initiatives and presents it in a single unified view to track long-term strategic planning.
It's the ultimate executive summary, generated in real time.
Okay, we have covered the authorized IL5 tools and how they impact the core roles. Now it's time to shift our tone to the future tech and commercial watch on our industry radar.
Let's do it.
Just a reminder, the tools we are about to discuss are strictly for your home lab or industry awareness. They are not currently authorized for CUI or depot networks. Good call out. So, looking at the commercial sector, OpenAI has released GPT 5.5 Cyber. This is a massive pivot because it's a highly specialized, domain-specific AI focused entirely on analyzing cybersecurity threats rather than being a general-purpose model.
Wow, okay. What else is flashing on the radar?
The Pentagon is announcing plans to lean heavily on commercial AI to achieve its audit goals, parsing millions of invoices for financial compliance. And alongside that, the Department of Homeland Security just laid out a comprehensive AI roadmap.
Providing a clear template for federal AI integration.
Right. But the biggest breakthrough is happening in 2026 with Edge AI.
Yes. I am particularly intrigued by Edge AI because it runs locally, right?
Exactly. Instead of relying on a massive cloud server, the processing happens on specialized neural processing units, or NPUs, right on the device.
Which completely solves the disconnected environment problem. You know, a forward-deployed mechanic in a communications-denied environment can still troubleshoot a catastrophic engine failure completely offline. That local processing could completely revolutionize the physical interface of the shop floor in the near future.
It really is a massive tactical advantage. So, to distill all of this into one thought, from the mechanic preventing a breakdown to the executive building a multi-vendor ecosystem, AI is no longer just a concept. It is the authorized tool empowering every layer of the depot to work smarter and safer.
Imagine a future where Edge AI doesn't just help us predict machine failures, but actively redesigns the physical layout of the shop floor in real time based on how you move and work. How would your daily routine change if your environment learned from you?
It's incredible to think about.
Thanks for joining us. Whether you're turning wrenches in the hangars or crunching numbers for the command team, you are the engine that keeps Army aviation ready. Stay safe, stay innovative, and we'll see you on the next Depot AI Brief.